Oceans inspire fear, respect, and intrigue. Since the dawn of sailing, humanity has been in fearful awe of what lies in the ocean, creating no shortage of fantastical sea monsters to populate both the waves and their imaginations. I'm Sawyer Lee, and today I want to welcome you to a very special episode, one where we leave the shallows for a spell and sink into the abyss. Let's begin. The ocean has always been a foreign concept to you. Born underground, you inhabit what is often called a hive or undercity. Most people do. Like insects, your kinfolk dig, forage, and fortify subterranean fortresses far from the predatory gaze of most dragons. It is safe, if not a little cramped. To you it feels somewhat natural. So you could imagine the surprise when traders from afar spun tales of a body of water that kisses the very heavens themselves. You push through an energized crowd, fighting your way to the front. The captain of these men stood atop a barrel. He looked strange, certainly not from any tribe you know of. His face was long, mouth bearded, and eyes small, shining like jewels. He wore protective explorer's clothes, but a tail swung behind him. Others of the crew looked the same, some furred and some shaven. Whoever they are, these dog-headed men must have come from quite a distance away. Pounding his chest, the captain roared out the adventures of the crew. "The sea," he shouted, "shines like the wet of an eye after it had shed a tear. It gazes forth forever and is irritated when crossed. The eye of the world sent monsters in retaliation." "Monsters? How do you mean?" A voice shot from the crowd. "There are monsters in the sky now. The usurper, Hold Taker, the thieving Rattledread. Why spin tales when a real threat soars just outside the gate?" The captain fell silent for a moment, stroking his beard and eyeing his crew. His tail twitched. "Aye, there be dragons out the gate. But what I saw in the wet of the world was as no man had seen before or since. Allow me, O underfolk, to tell you what is now seared into my mind." It was 17 nights and 17 days since we left home to fill our maps, to chart the Avervast, the overworld. And on the fringes of our charts we had reached. Unmanned seas yawned before us for as wide as the world lets us see. Stargazers promised fruitfulness across the channel, so who were we to deny? The strange captain furrows his tufted brow before continuing. 3 days hence, and we had naught but larval worms caught in our net. They tasted as marrow does, no doubt better than starvation. We dreamed and sailed for what felt like an eternity before our spotter noticed something. A man overboard, splashing and thrashing as if possessed, bending in unnatural, strange shapes. Drunk on dreamlike delirium, perhaps caused by our worm meals. The spotter stumbled into the water to save him. Gracefully, he sank as soon as water touched his lip. Tears had no time to form as the possessed man dissolved into an amorphous shape, and behind us several tendrils, thick as tree trunks, already wrapped around our vessel. That is when it showed itself. This was no drowning man, but the shape-changing tentacle of a greater beast, a mighty Kraken. Our ship, wrapped in barb, protection against dragons, had caused the great beast to reel back in pain. The blow knocked me over the side of our ship and into the water. Through cracks of lightning I saw the whole beast. Its length descended into the abyss, its arms many and of all lengths, its tail as large as a boat. It was not dissimilar to a dragon in spirit, but its color-shifting, shape-bending body was like nothing I had ever seen. Such is the Kraken. The crowd was quiet. Quick glances and shifting feet betrayed thoughts of doubt injected with fear and perhaps a little wonder. It seems dragons aren't the only thing they had to worry about. Trying to wrap your mind around such a creature is difficult. Drawings by sailors attempting to capture its likeness are a challenge, and most interpretations are pieced together from eyewitness reports and beached specimens. Creating representations of a creature with your own flair can be a challenge, something you as a viewer might be aided with via Skillshare, today's sponsor. I'm continuing my partnership with Skillshare as I find their community of shared knowledge incredibly helpful for my own aspirations, and they help keep me sharp. Skillshare is exploring creativity as practice this month and offer a variety of topics from illustration to creative writing and more, all working towards this goal. I find it both enriching and pretty fun. Once again, Skillshare is offering the first 500 people to visit the link in my description 1 free month of Skillshare. I hope you enjoy it. Now, back to the video. Civilized cultures have difficulty when it comes to seafaring in the world of the Dragonslayer Codex, a world they call the Avervast. Just as the word Earth refers to the soil beneath our feet, the name Avervast is a conceptual term referring to the incomprehensible enormity and danger of a massive world as seen from the perspective of a culture hiding underground. It is ever vast, you could say. To those unaware, humans live as ants do, in colonies divided by strict roles each member performs. It is not the freest system of government, but one that keeps their species alive in this land. As with anything, there are exceptions to the rule. Dog-headed men, the cynocephali, hail from a vertical city built into warm, lush sea cliffs. I will be covering them more in the future. They are not human, but a race of baboons that have convergently evolved both bipedalism and sentience. They are keen sailors and hungry traders, braving the outside world more than other nations tend to do. As such, many are familiar with the Kraken. Krakens come in a variety of species, and the one described in the story before is what they call a Madmaker, the Kraken that breaks minds. All discovery of this and other Kraken species must be done with adult specimens, as the juvenile larvae look identical to one another, speculated to be a way to avoid competition with one another by blending into the crowd, so to speak. Larval Krakens are extremely common, and support many food chains as a bottom-tier predator of schooling fish. They themselves are eaten as well. But the small beasts metamorphose into terrifying and incomprehensible species, such as our subject today. Madmakers get their name by their dozens of tentacles, not only ones near the mouth, but those fringing the bodies and breaking the silhouette. In addition, the Kraken has immaculate control over the shape of its arms, a feature theorized to mimic the shape of prey to lure in food. In the story, it mimicked the shape of a drowning cynocephalus. This individual must be familiar with ships and sailors. Most encounters are near the upper levels of the water column, over areas of deep water. It prefers warm climates and is seldom seen in chilled temperatures. They tend to be sessile most times, floating idle until exterior stimuli prompts explosive movement. Even stranger is their method of reproduction, one of the few things scholars have a better understanding of, as it occurs near the surface. In the winter, krakens of both genders grow an extra segment on the rear of their bodies, almost resembling a second head. 3 months of development, and the beasts congregate to a sheltered bay. Simultaneously, the second heads break off and float to the surface, filled with eggs. They explode, and the next generation is ensured. The impact of the explosion sends fertilized eggs scattering over the area, where they are whisked away by the breeze and across the sea. There's been quite the debate on what krakens actually are. Monster squid? Arthropods? It's a hot topic with mariners, but the leading consensus is that they are a gigantic member of the pterobelid worms, dubbed Giganellidae. They are extremely diverse in their ecologies and forms, much like the dragons found in the sky. Enough, perhaps, to warrant a book for themselves, as Titanstride has with the many species of giants. Krakens may terrorize boats, but most famous are they for being one of the few creatures able to reliably prey on dragons. Surface-dwelling species like the Madmaker can be seen ripping a low-flying dragon out of the sky, should they come close enough. How could they tell it was of that species? Well, krakens can be identified by the appearance of their breaching tentacles, just as dragons can by their wing silhouettes. Madmakers are known for their medium length and near triangular shape. The arms are many and thicker at the base, with fewer every few feet in length. This gives a sharp, highly stable appearance, and the many short tentacles rapidly push food into the mouth, where the longer ones probe its surroundings and change their shape. The fringes on the body can smell the environment around it and possess gripping power as well. being able to use the entire body to grasp a boat and pull it under. What sort of weakness could a kraken possibly have? Well, it would be their gills. Underneath the mouth parts of all species lay brush-like external breathing apparatuses that trail the water behind them. It is a critical weak point, but one tucked behind the most dangerous part of the animal. In the story, a spike-covered ship pierced one when it tried to grab it. A neatly aimed harpoon could help scare one off as well. This is just an early foray into the world of the Kraken, one I am keen to explore. Sea dragons have evolved here as well and exist in fierce, stiff competition with the worms of the sea. Who do you think has the upper hand? Highly evolved, streamlined, and powerful sea dragons, or the primordial holdovers from ages long lost, emerging from the bottom of the sea? I'd love to hear what you think. Thank you to my patrons for making this possible. I'm always in awe of your support. And an extra thanks to my top patrons listed here. See you in the next video. Until next time.